Hello, my favorite first graders. Today is Tuesday, January the 19th in 2021. What are we going to do in social studies today? We will identify how George Washington influenced the United States of America. Who are we studying today? Say it with me. George Washington. Thank you. How will we study George Washington today? We will research facts on Pebble Go about George Washington and write to explain why he is important. Why are we studying George Washington today? We will understand the influence of George Washington on our country. He was a very important man. Check out these pictures I included on the slide. This is him on the dollar bill. Have you seen that man before? His face is also on the quarter. I found one. Check it out. There's George Washington. Have you seen him before? He must be very important to be on the money. I'm not on the money. He must have done something very special or very important for our country. Today, our job is to find out what did he do and why he is important. After we've done our research together on Pebble Go, we'll be ready to get out our journals and write one sentence and draw a picture to explain how he was so important to us. Ready to study Pebble Go? Here we go. Hello, George Washington.
Pebble Go.
Check out this photo of George Washington. What do you notice in his picture? Me too. I also notice all the gold fancy details. Another clue that he was very important. Ready to read? Listening ears on. Here come the facts.
George Washington was the first president of the United States. He was born in Virginia in 1732. He grew up on a farm. George went to school for a short time, but he mostly studied at home.
Wow, we learned on this page he was the first, what? President! Everybody say that word with me. President. Thank you. George was our first president of the United States. He wasn't born in Texas. He was born where? Virginia. Check out the year he was born. Whoa. Is that the same year you were born? Not me either. The year 1732. Now, is that in the past? Is that present today? Or is that in the future? Right now it's 2021. So 1732 is in the past. Now that's 300 years in the past. Wowza! He was born in 1732 and lived on a farm. Do you live on a farm? And it did say he went to school, but also studied at home. Do you go to school or do you study at home? Let's keep going to find out more information of why is he so important.
George began working as a surveyor at age 16. In 1759, George married Martha Custis. She and her 2 children came to live with George. They lived at his plantation called Mount Vernon. Hundreds of enslaved people worked there.
George had his first job at 16. What was his first job? What's a surveyor?
Surveyor. A person who measures land and makes maps.
Oh, okay. We've used maps before. Did you like using maps? Maybe when you grow up, you want to be a surveyor like George and make maps. We also learned on this page that he was married to a woman named Martha. They had 2 children, and they lived on a plantation. What's a plantation?
Plantation. A large farm. The word plantation is often used for large farms in the southern United States.
Okay, so now we know he's still living on a farm, but now a much bigger farm called a plantation. And on that plantation, hundreds of enslaved people worked there. Let's learn more about that word too.
Enslave. to force someone to be owned and controlled by another person. An enslaved person is forced to work without pay and does not have freedoms.
We've learned a lot about our freedoms this year, remember? Signed in the Declaration of Independence, we have the freedom of speech, the freedom to go to school, the freedom of religion, and all citizens of the United States have these freedoms. But long time ago, when George Washington was alive, they were not given to African Americans. This was not right, and this was not fair. We will talk more about this tomorrow with our next important American that helped change this history.
The Revolutionary War began in 1775. George led the army of American colonists. They fought and won against Great Britain. In 1787, George led a group to form the government of the new United States of America.
Here in this photo, we can see George on his white horse in battle. Do you see him here? He has helped leading the American army to fight Great Britain. They are fighting to create their new government of the new United States of America. Did they win? Yes! Now this is where we get to go create the new laws and the new rules for the citizens of our new country. Time to make some changes.
In 1789, George was elected the first U.S. president. He helped plan the capital city, Washington, D.C., which was named for him. George was president for 8 years. Many people wanted him to serve longer, but he said no.
How many years was he the president? 8 years. And in those 8 years, they created the capital city of our United States, Washington, D.C., named after President Washington. He also helped to make some other changes. We'll learn on the last page.
After serving as president, George went home to Mount Vernon. He died in 1799. George fought for and helped to shape the United States. Americans remember him as the father of his country.
He helped to lead us in battle, to win that battle, and then to create the new country that we live in today, the United States of America. For this reason, we call him the father of his country, because he was the first who helped to create it. Is there a video? Woo! Are you ready?
Welcome to Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon,
Mount Vernon. What did we learn? What's Mount Vernon? This is where George Washington lived and where he died.
and colonial-era mansion half an hour from the capital. America's first president, George Washington, spent most of his life here and has been here ever since, buried on the grounds.
Would you like to visit this historic place in Mount Vernon? Look, the ladies dressed up like the old times. Now that we have learned lots of great facts about George Washington, it's time to go write. Why was he so important? Get yourself ready. You will need your journal, you will need your pencil, and finally, your crayons. Go to video 2 and let's get started.